My shame is astounding, and it is powerful. The words that come to mind right now, which I might use to describe my shame, are the same words that people often use to describe God: omniscient, omnipotent, all present, all knowing, everywhere, all at once. I was talking to my father, an apt playground for shame to be born. I was talking to my father, and he asked me how school was going, and I don't lie about these things, at least not to my father. And I said to him, school's not going well, I'm not studying. So he asked me why, and I said, I don't know why. I said, I'm not working hard, and I don't know why. And he asked me to expand a little bit. And I said, I don't even start my assignment. I don't even begin my assignment or open it, because I feel that when I open my assignment, I will see that it's difficult, and I will see that I'm not good enough, and I'm not going to be able to write a good essay, that I'm just not talented enough. And I'm so afraid of seeing that I'm not good enough that I don't even start the assignment. I didn't realize that those are the exact words that I would use to describe what happens. So starkly, so honestly, if my father hadn't asked me that question, why aren't you working hard in school? But I can see now that's honestly exactly what happens. And when I told my father that this is what happens, he said to me, you won't know whether you're good enough or not until you finish your assignment. Now, if you have worked very hard, read each chapter very closely, and written your essay, and then you realize that you just don't have it in you, that makes sense. But right now, you've reached a conclusion based on not having done a thing. And that was powerful to hear, because I realized that that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm reaching a conclusion based on insufficient evidence. And I'm a debater, and I'm somebody who values rationality. I enjoy constructing a good argument. And I think that's a very stupid argument indeed, that I'm not good enough when I haven't even tested how good enough I am. I'd like to return to that word, powerful. Powerful is the word that I would use to describe this realization. But powerful is also the word I would use to describe what shame does in your life. Because I think it is powerful. If something can make you confined to your bed, if something can make you envy the ambition and good work of others, if something is so deeply true to you and it emerges all of the time, then that's powerful. And shame is very powerful indeed. If you think about it, shame is something that a lot of people have, and they carry it with them constantly. It makes them reject advances of love. It makes them not apply to universities abroad. And what shame is doing with me is that I do ask people out, and I am at the university abroad, but I don't want to open my laptop to start working, because I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed of what a sentence I could construct would look like. I'm so ashamed that I will see something inherently awful about me, that if I write a sentence, each word and all of it will just be circumstantial evidence that points towards this conclusion that there's something just wrong with me and something so stupid inherently about me. I'm so afraid that I'll start something. It's almost like there's a voice in my head who just repeats whatever sentence I come up with in my essays. And says it in a very shrilly, high-pitched girl voice, oh, I bet you think this is so smart, don't you? Oh my god, this sentence sounds so much like a precocious 21-year-old at college. Did you, snort Edward Said in a line and then do shots of Jordan Peterson to construct this obnoxious sentence? That's basically what's in my mind. And that's shame that's doing it. And I'm realizing shame isn't just something that leaks in. It's so crazy powerful. Like it is godlike what shame does to you. It just seizes you and it says you can't dance, you can't go alone, I don't want you going. It's like so controlling. Shame is like an abusive boyfriend. Shame is like, I don't want you to leave the house wearing that top, I don't want you to go alone, I don't want you, being seen with that guy, I don't want you to embarrass me. That's what shame does to you. Shame is literally trying to control you and be like, you can't do a thing. Now, what's the antidote to shame? Because with shame's like companions or its sister or its, I don't know, the metaphor's being lost here. But shame has certain things which come with it, right? Like fatalism. Fatalism really like is the guy who keeps shame going, just hyping up shame, like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Also, should we also tell her that nothing's ever going to be good? Because shame is like inherent to fatalism. Fatalism is just one of shame's like products, And I think that what ends up happening is that fatalism and shame work together to create this narrative where you don't think that you're good enough to do anything. Why bother brushing your teeth or keeping up with things when you're just not good enough? If you're not, you're not Mozart, clearly. However, look, shame is saying Mozart, mozzarella, fat ass bit. That's what shame's saying to me right now. Now, what is the antidote to fatalism, existential dread, and shame? It is defiance. Defiance is, hi, I'm underqualified, but I'm going to work several hours. Defiance is, yes, I have glasses, but I'm still a sexual being. Defiance is, I'm going to break up with that guy. Defiance is adamance. Defiance is triumph. Defiance is saying, I will do everything, and you cannot stop me. Defiance is taking pride in making motions like this and feeling like a theater kid. Defiance is what I feel, I think, when I work out, when I feel like I'm Wonder Woman and I'm so elastic. Defiance is, no, I will not live the life that you've constructed for me because I will be the architect of my life, and shame has no room here. There's this quote I read by Hafiz, which deeply spoke to me. This quote was, fear is the cheapest room in the house. I want to see you living in better conditions. And fear does shrivel me up and make me so small. What would it look like to have a big room in the house? To have a room in the house where I occupy, and it's a roaring, warm fireplace. That's the kind of room I want to live in. And yeah, the wrong partners will definitely steer you to like fear-filled, shame-filled rooms. Hugo definitely wanted me to like live in his little attic, literally and figuratively. But I think that it's not just partners who lead you there. Sometimes your parents lead you there when you're very, very young. And then, even though your parents walk out and they ship you to a different continent, you're still used to living in like little bars like this of what is acceptable and not acceptable. And my cage is just a little bit bigger than others, If I'm making this video and I think I'm saying something worth saying, that means I have a little bit more like leeway room to move. But it's clearly not big enough if I still can't start my essay. So what is an act of defiance? Is it now? Yes, it is now. Must I start my essay now or after dinner? I'm not sure. But I'm adamant, I'm going to do it today. You know what? I am going to start today. I feel like every single day I try to start and I don't. And it's killing me. I went on a date with this Polish guy, Dawid, who was so hot. And I'm thinking, I want to stop thinking about Dawid because all I thought about lately is, I wonder, why did Dawid say this when he meant this? And this is another thing. I was physical with Dawid. Not in this, I didn't hit him. I was intimate with Dawid. And I think that towards the end, I was especially intimate. And my doing that, I'm afraid, has scared him off. That's shame talking. It's shame talking that I should feel ashamed and horrible about being lustful or lonely. That's shame talking. Shame says, Dawood's never felt lustful or lonely. Dawood's never done something like that. Only you behave like that because you're a terrible person. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? Everybody feels lonely sometimes. Everybody feels lustful sometimes. And I feel like with Dawood, I'm feeling shame because I feel like I'm messed up. Doesn't that remind you of something? That reminds me of the sort of way that you were talking with Hugo, That's the kind of rhetoric, the kind of propaganda Hugo was, feeding into your brain with a chip. That like, oh, you didn't follow this exact timeline or trajectory of how a person should act. Boom. You are eliminated. Like, yeah, that's what love feels like sometimes. Sometimes romantic prospects feel like X Factor. That if I do something wrong, they're gonna send me back to boot camp and I'm gonna have to start from scratch. That's what it feels like often, especially with Hugo. And I think I'm putting myself in a similar position with Dawood if I keep thinking this way. With Dawood too, I'm thinking like, oh, I messed up. Like some other girl is gonna do better at this job than I am. Some other girl is gonna be smart and hot, but she won't be easy like me. So he'll pick her. Or like, like this guy needs to get his ratings up this season, so he will pick me. And things like that. And I think that's the problem. That I'm competing with other girls and that I'm in a competition at all. Because that supposes that love is something to be earned. And intellectually, I realized that love is never something to be earned. Nobody deserves love, and everybody deserves love. By this, I mean that every human being, no matter how horrible they are, deserve to be loved. There's a need inside them to be loved, and I hope they're loved. They should be loved. But also, no one's entitled to love. No one is ever good enough. Love is this divine thing, and it is the virtue which saves all of us. And I think that with this Dawood guy, if I did mess up, maybe I could apply a similar principle that I applied to the Hugo situation. In the Hugo situation, I came to the realization that maybe I did mess up that night by getting drunk and calling him. Even though I think the fracture between Hugo and I had happened well before then. But maybe I did mess up. But that's me messing up, That's me at, like, my worst. Being a little bit needy. That's me at my worst. There are guys who I've seen at their worsts, and it's been not pleasant. It's been Hugo going, fine, I'll take you home. Fine, we can go home. That's so weird. It's so weird how I'm throwing a tantrum, and you're, like, quiet. Why are you quiet? You're nuts. Send you to the... Who's nuts? You're nuts. Not me who's like going like acting like a child. It's you who's nuts. Should we change the music? That was literally what it was like me with Hugo. Like he'd throw a tantrum and then he'd be like, haha. Like he'd be serene and like happy. Maybe that was not the one for me. Maybe I need someone who does motions like this. Like maybe I need a childlike person at my level. Someone exciting and tactile. Or if he can't do this emotionally, he should be able to go this. So I'm also realizing I'm 21 years old, and maybe it's not a big age. Like I've had this feeling, I think, for a few days now, and I don't know how long I've had this feeling actually, but I've had this feeling, and then yesterday I realized I've stopped having this feeling, which was that I felt that the way I feel at 21 will be very similar to how I feel for the rest of my life. This is just the beginning of the end of the doom. That whatever I'm feeling lately, because 17's been refuted. So this is it now. But you know what? I thought 14-year-old me was living life in a very particular way, and then I just showed her a new way to live. So maybe 21 years old, how I'm living my life now isn't the same way I'm going to live my life at 28. And maybe I'll be at more ease with myself. I truly believe with true optimism that things might be easier for me. And I just assume they'd be harder. But let's say I was my worst with Dawood. If he can't handle that, and I feel like even at my worst, what was I? I was just giving him little kisses. That was the worst thing I did. I gave him little kisses, invited him to my room, and I gave him a hug. I was encouraging, I guess. I told him I had a good time. If Dawood is like repulsed by that, if he can't forgive me for being a little bit clingy, he and I shouldn't be together. Full stop. Because like that's who I am. Like at my current level of healed, unhealed, this particular ratio of like these dimensions within me, this is how I manifest. It's not throwing things. It's just me being a little bit more affectionate than most people are. It's not me saying I've built a shrine in your honor, Dawood, but it is me being there and being a little bit vulnerable. And if he is like deeply repulsed by that he thinks this is the sign of like a sick person who is just emotionally unintelligent, and just like steer far, far away from her, then that's Dawood's like own trauma. TBH. And maybe Dawood is wise. Like maybe I should also steer with people who are like love bombing. But I didn't love bomb him. I gave him a bunch of kisses. And he's not seeing things clearly if he thinks that's crazy. And he's missing out on a great connection, not just with me, but other people too, if he behaves in that manner and makes those assumptions. And also, Dawood, if you're watching this, I just want you to know that like, yeah, I guess we're not going to be compatible if you think that that's like a crazy way to behave. And it's shame that makes me think that he's onto something. It's shame that makes me think that Dawood has options. Because today I was realizing this was the only source of comfort I had in this whole Dawood situation. Dawood is a 28-year-old Polish psychologist that I met on Hinge. So, this gave me comfort in the Dawood situation, which was that I keep thinking that he's going to meet someone else, but actually, he should be the one who should be worried. I am a 21-year-old woman in college. I have romantic prospects. He is a 28-year-old man living in Newcastle. Okay? So, okay, let's not refer to women his age. I was going to call women his age demographic hags, but let's not do that. That bullet goes all the way around very quickly. So, I'm the one who has options. He should be scared out of his mind. And this brought me comfort. And it's shame that made me, I think it was so comforting because suddenly it was flipped. You know, I was so focused on me, what's wrong with me, that I failed to see what might be wrong with him. And there are a bunch of things I think might be wrong with him. I think that he could have asked me and you more, which he didn't. I could tell that he was cognizant of the importance of asking someone else questions about themselves, but I wondered if he truly cared about my answers. Like when I asked him about his sister and stuff, I wondered if he truly cared to know. He also didn't seem enchanted by me, which most men are on dates like this, but he wasn't enchanted by me. I also wish that instead of telling me to relax, he asked me why I was anxious. I wish he'd done that. I would really like for a guy to start doing that. And one really encouraging thing from this whole Dawood situation is I know that there are men who are emotionally available, and I've identified that emotional availability is very important to me. I've also identified that next time I have a date like this, I want to slow it down and not invite anyone to my room because it makes me feel bad, and it doesn't provide me like some emotional space to feel what I want to feel. I am glad that I invited him to my room. That was fun. But I think next time I should slow things down. To play the long game, as it were. But also not to play a game, just so I can have some emotional space to think for myself about how I feel about another person. So shame is powerful, is my point. And it makes you distort things. I don't even know, can Dawood even begin to guess how much shame I carry around with me? Can anyone ever know? Do I know how much shame Arnav or Shazeb or all the randos at university carry around with them? It's not just about events like, oh, that person could have been abused as a child. It's like, sometimes the event isn't proportional to the shame you feel at all. Sometimes people have a profound sense of self-loathing that is triggered by a very seemingly normal childhood because just like the flick of a second, the glimpse, a tiny little glimpse in someone's life. And they carry so much more shame than someone who's had been raped even. Shame is everywhere. It's like when you're at the dining hall and you pour something for yourself. Shame is like, you know, you should keep pouring things into your plate because you don't deserve to lose weight. I don't think you actually stand a chance to lose weight. I think that you have the emotional range of a teaspoon, and this is the only thing which, if you don't have this meal right now, I bet you're gonna be miserable, and it's gonna suck. Shame is like, I don't want to deal with that, so just let's quickly feed you this. Then the antidote to shame maybe is love. I don't know if love and shame are antonymous, but there is something to love that feels like the perfect antidote to shame, in that if shame is like rejecting someone, ostracizing them, then love is in one of its components. It's like profound acceptance, right? If shame is sentencing someone to humiliation and damnation, punishment, then love is intimately concerned with, you know, not just ecstasy but salvation. Love is saying, I forgive you. Love is forgiveness. And forgiveness, like shame, is very powerful indeed. I love to read, right? And I just hung up on my sister to tell you this. I love to read books, and tomorrow, if I purchase Middlemarch, that's a novel I've been wanting to read for a long time, and it's part of my course, so I'm going to read it. And I love to read, I love to read. The first time I read a book, well, I don't know about that, but there have been times when I have read a book and I've felt less alone. I've laughed, I felt like I've journeyed through an option, I felt something real right here. I'd go rush to the next room, tell my mom, I just finished a book. I feel proud of myself. And I've had years, like maybe months or some period of my life, which felt infinite, when I was reading books but didn't enjoy them. I was buying books but didn't enjoy them because I wasn't reading them. And there was like so much loudness. There's consumption but no reading almost. And I love to read books. And I forgot. And I must remember again because my degree isn't aesthetic pictures of books. It's not like a book or like writing a journal. It's like writing a journal, being there. It's like reading the actual book. It's like it's a transportation device. It's not caring about the interiors of the car. It's the ride. Another thing that shame does is that it obscures everything. It really narrows your options. So smoking is something which narrows your blood vessels, and I think the habit of shame is something which completely diminishes the options you have for these like black and white three things, and the worst possible options you can have. Like shame says to you, your options are to kill yourself or to kill somebody else. Shame doesn't tell you that you can save yourself and also save somebody else, and maybe you can have a cupcake afterwards. That's what shame willfully forgets. And I think that I find it like a little bit hard to like sit down and journal. And I think some of it is shame. It's like, what if I'm not good enough? But what does that mean? Good enough. If it's like, if I don't deserve to journal, who does? Who is someone who is good enough to journal? Is it somebody who is thinner than me? Is it like Aitana from the Union? Is she good enough? Like, is she good enough to like give her thoughts proper dues? Are cancer patients and children not good enough? Like, is goodness measured by a number on a scale? Or is self-dialogue something that everybody deserves and should have access to? And the self-dialogue ceases to be important if it doesn't produce output. Like, do the words I say not matter if I can't post a video about them? Does my life not matter if I don't post a picture? Do my journaling entries not matter if I don't achieve a beautiful epiphany after epiphany on each page? No. I think they do matter. I think sometimes, yes, they do matter. Like, I look at videos of myself that I didn't value. I look at entries and things that I've made and said that it didn't matter to me once. And now I look back and I think they were beautiful. Like, I find that emotional journey so interesting. I find hard work interesting, and I think I saw both of those things in Dawood, and I want them in myself. My sister said something to me today. She said to me, all these guys, whatever you point out that you like in them, you're describing yourself. Like you're impressed by that quality and you're describing yourself. You have these qualities. And she said what you need is somebody who appreciates all those same things back in you. And you know what? That's something I did feel at certain points with Hugo. Like, he was able to see what's so cool about me. And maybe Dawood saw them too, but he didn't express them, like, in our date. He didn't say you're highly intelligent. He didn't seem excited to have found me. And maybe that's the biggest problem of Dawood after all. Maybe it's not, like, all the other things that, like, he's not tall enough, which doesn't really matter to me. But maybe it's like this. Maybe it's like he's not deeply enchanted by me, and I'm enthralled by myself sometimes. It's rare, but maybe I could make it happen more and more. Shame is like, Prince Zuko feeling like he has to fight to restore his honor. Maybe I should rewatch Avatar. Every time I have like a problem in my life, there's this thought in the back of my head that I must rewatch Avatar. Maybe I should. Zuko wants to restore his honor, and he goes to the, Fire Kingdom, and he thinks that if he kills the Avatar, if he captures the Avatar, he can restore his honor. And then eventually, when he does restore his honor, when he captures the Avatar, he feels nothing. Let's say I did capture, Dawood's affections, and my honor was restored. Here is somebody who is a worthy, like, because that's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. I'm looking for someone who's good enough to evaluate me. I say I'm looking for love, but what I looked for, what I thought I found in Hugo, or what I'm looking for in these guys with whom I act like a bimbo around, what I'm looking for is not a partner. I'm looking for somebody who I think has the credentials to decide whether or not I'm worthy of love. If I can convince Will that I'm a great girlfriend, if I can convince Dawood that I'm just a delight, then maybe that suggests that I'm someone worthy of love. Because how could I possibly be worthy of love if people don't love me? That's how I feel. And I think I thought that he's this intelligent guy, older than me, so therefore he must be someone who can evaluate whether or not I deserve love. But there are so many, like, treasures. There's like the poetry, I think, of Emily Dickinson. There are so many songs and works of art that were not appreciated during their time. And I don't think that, like, the music of Adrian Lenker was once not very famous. And I think, like, Adrian Lenker is one of the most brilliant songwriters of our generation, from the ones I've heard. And, like, the whole idea of a rose would by any other name still smell as sweet. Shame made me cross out this painting that I was working on, that I fished out of the trash, and which was lying here on my desk, and my friend says that's beautiful, and that, like, she asked me why'd you cut it out. Shame is the line right through here. Shame is me maybe not finishing this at all. Shame is maybe me putting this in the trash, being ashamed that it's, like, it's not good enough, or whatever. Shame is denying yourself the opportunity to be brave. I don't want to be ashamed anymore. Maybe I could avoid things that make me feel ashamed. Like, maybe I could avoid where shame takes me. Because I think sometimes feeling ashamed is just, it's a matter of, like, social habit, right? Like when someone doesn't laugh at your joke, you might feel ashamed. When you feel rejected, you might feel ashamed. But how much you let that poison of shame go to your very center and pollute the rest of your organs, I think, is up to you, especially if you're an aware person like me. Because somewhere in my bloodline, somebody wasn't ashamed of me, like my mother. She gave me love, forgiveness, faith. And I have that capacity within me. I know what it looks like to not be ashamed, to be a little bit more free. And I get so preoccupied trying to convince these boys that I'm not ashamed. I'm just this chill girl that I just go through the motions of being liberated by wearing short clothes and trying to seem all relaxed, but actually being relaxed. Maybe what I need is to be relaxed genuinely. So that when a guy says, why? No, they never ask why, they just offer condemnation. You can relax. When they offer that command, which is just relax, it can just be a call out from within me, and I bring myself to relaxation. Because when they say to me, relax, I feel ashamed. I feel like, I'm being severe. I'm not doing a good enough job at this performance of intimacy. I feel ashamed that they can see that I'm scared. I'm an emotional connoisseur, perhaps. I need somebody else who's tasted wine as fine as the one that courses through my veins. And it is that shame cannot be polluting my bloodstream. In its place, there must be bravery, imagination, and hope. I think that's real power. Is flitting away, shame like a fly, insignificant. Shame is not knowing what to say or how to finish this video. Maybe I can be okay with that.